It's not one thing, it was many things. But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein.
Melinda Gates had everything anyone could dream of. Immense wealth, a stunning mansion, 3 wonderful children, and a husband who the world admired as a genius. On paper, her life seemed perfect. She was part of one of the most powerful couples in the world, married to Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft and one of the richest men on earth. They had built an empire together, not just in business, but also through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which would become one of the largest philanthropic organizations globally. Yet, behind the carefully curated image of success, happiness, and stability, Melinda's private life was far more complicated. For the first time in her life, she was experiencing panic attacks and waking from nightmares, overwhelmed by anxiety that seemed to come from nowhere. The luxurious surroundings of her home, which most would consider a dream, became the backdrop for deep emotional turmoil. It was not money, fame, or social recognition that defined her struggles. It was a profound sense of betrayal, confusion, and fear about the future that she had to face alone. These were feelings she had never expressed publicly, and for nearly 3 decades, she bore them in silence, quietly trying to reconcile the life she had built with the realities of her marriage. The pivotal moment came in late October 2019, when Melinda was scrolling through an article published by the New York Times. The headline sent shivers down her spine. It detailed her husband's multiple meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender and one of the most despised figures in America. Melinda had warned Bill Gates about Epstein long ago after meeting him once in 2013 at his Manhattan townhouse. That single encounter left her so disturbed that she explicitly told her husband she never wanted any further association with Epstein. The memories haunted her, and the nightmares that followed were not exaggerated. In interviews after the divorce, Melinda recalled the terror and physical reaction she experienced. The panic attacks, heart racing uncontrollably, and the sensation of losing control over her own body. Her warning to Bill was clear, yet he continued to meet Epstein repeatedly. Reports suggested that between 2011 and 2014, Bill Gates met Epstein at least 6 documented times, including dinners, late-night discussions, and business conversations, despite the fact that Epstein's crimes were public knowledge. The realization that her husband disregarded her feelings, particularly about such a serious and morally troubling figure, planted seeds of distrust that would later define her decision to leave the marriage. As Melinda processed this revelation, she realized her marriage was not the sanctuary it had seemed. In the days following the New York Times article, she contacted multiple divorce attorneys to understand her options. She was no longer merely upset. She was preparing for war. She understood that after 27 years of marriage, the life she had built with Bill could be coming to an abrupt end. But Epstein was not the only secret Bill had kept. Around the year 2000, a Microsoft engineer came forward claiming she had an affair with Bill Gates. This revelation shook the foundations of Melinda's life. Her children were toddlers when the affair allegedly began, and the marriage was only 6 years old. For almost 2 decades, the secret remained hidden. The woman remained silent, and Bill's actions were concealed from the public eye. In late 2019, she wrote a letter to Microsoft board hoping it would reach Melinda, seeking to reveal the truth. The letter prompted an immediate investigation by Microsoft, involving outside attorneys' interviews and document reviews. The findings were significant enough that Bill Gates stepped down from the board of directors in March 2020, walking away from the company he had founded and built into a global empire. This step, while perhaps necessary for the corporate world, underscored the personal turmoil within the Gates family and laid bare the ethical and emotional breaches that Melinda had been grappling with for years. Melinda's emotional and psychological challenges during this period were profound. She described the months between late 2019 and early 2021 as the darkest in her life. At 55, she found herself facing the collapse of her marriage after 25 years. Her children were witnessing their parents' relationship unravel, and Melinda was forced to confront the reality that the marriage she had committed to for so long was over. In her memoir, The Next Day, she vividly described the physical manifestations of her trauma: panic attacks, recurring nightmares, and moments of complete emotional breakdown. She would lie on the floor crying, questioning how she could move forward and whether she could survive the emotional devastation that enveloped her. These were not occasional emotional setbacks, but continuous battles that left her feeling powerless and vulnerable. For someone who had spent her adult life negotiating billions of dollars, addressing world leaders, and leading global initiatives, these experiences marked a profound shift. Melinda Gates, the poised and composed public figure, was suddenly confronting the rawest form of human vulnerability. Her honesty about these experiences has inspired many, highlighting that even those who seem to have perfect lives are not immune to personal struggles. The divorce itself became one of the largest and most complex financial separations in history. At the time of their split, Bill and Melinda Gates were worth approximately $130 billion combined. The division of such vast assets was not merely a matter of money. It involved stock transfers, real estate, and a division of shared philanthropic endeavors. On the day of their public announcement, Bill Gates transferred $2.4 billion in securities to Melinda, including major stakes in companies like Canadian National Railway and Coca-Cola FEMSA. Their real estate portfolio, which included the famous 66,000-square-foot mansion near Seattle called Xanadu 2.0, had to be divided meticulously. Beyond the financial complexities, there was the question of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Initially, Melinda attempted to maintain a co-chair position, hoping they could continue running the foundation together despite the end of their marriage. But this arrangement proved unsustainable. By June 2024, Melinda chose to step away entirely, and the foundation was renamed, removing her name and symbolically marking the final separation of her identity from the organization she had helped build. In addition, she received $12.5 billion to fund her independent philanthropic work, allowing her to pursue causes she was passionate about without compromise or oversight. Melinda's life after the divorce represents a powerful narrative of resilience, reinvention, and autonomy. She has launched Pivotal Ventures, an organization through which she focuses on advancing women and girls, dedicating over $1 billion to causes that historically lack sufficient attention and funding. She is free to fund initiatives, speak openly, and lead projects based on her convictions, unbound by the shadow of her former marriage. Her personal life has also seen renewal. In 2024, she publicly revealed a relationship with Philip Vaughn, a tech entrepreneur and founder of a craft beer delivery company. For the first time in decades, she embraced her personal happiness and emotional fulfillment openly, reflecting on a life transformed through courage, introspection, and the pursuit of authenticity. Melinda now surrounds herself with a powerful network of women, including Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and Reese Witherspoon, who collectively exemplify resilience, reinvention, and leadership. Her journey, chronicled in The Next Day, is a testament to the human capacity to recover, redefine, and thrive even after profound betrayal and loss. She exemplifies how, even at the height of global visibility and wealth, the most critical journey is the one towards self-discovery, freedom, and the pursuit of a meaningful, authentic life. Melinda Gates lived a life that many would envy. She had wealth beyond imagination, a sprawling mansion, 3 children, and a husband whom the world admired as a technological genius and one of the richest people on the planet. On the surface, she had it all: a seemingly perfect marriage, a powerful social presence, and a philanthropic influence that reached millions around the world. Yet behind the public image, her private life was far more complicated. Despite all the appearances of stability, Melinda began experiencing panic attacks and anxiety that disrupted her sleep and daily life. She often woke from nightmares and cold sweats, feeling trapped in a reality that looked flawless on the outside but was filled with hidden fears. These emotional struggles were not due to a lack of money, comfort, or influence. They were rooted in the betrayal, secrecy, and moral conflicts she began to uncover about her marriage. Living in a mansion that many would consider a dream, she found herself isolated in a prison of anxiety, realizing that no amount of wealth could protect her from personal betrayal. These were not fleeting worries, but deep-seated fears that began to define her life, shaping her decisions in ways she had never anticipated. The turning point in Melinda's life came in late October 2019. She was scrolling through an article in the New York Times, and the headline stopped her cold. It revealed that Bill Gates had met with Jeffrey Epstein multiple times, a convicted sex offender notorious for exploiting young women and girls. The realization that her husband continued to associate with Epstein despite her clear objections sent shockwaves through her. Melinda had personally met Epstein in 2013, and was disturbed by him, warning Bill never to see him again. Yet, he continued to meet with Epstein privately, disregarding her feelings entirely. These revelations stirred a complex mix of emotions in Melinda: fear, betrayal, anger, and deep disappointment. For years, she had supported Bill publicly and privately, believing they were partners in both life and philanthropic work. The betrayal went beyond infidelity. It was a violation of trust at a fundamental level. This moment forced her to confront the reality that the man she had trusted and partnered with for decades had knowingly acted against her wishes, creating a fracture in their relationship that could not be ignored. While the Epstein meetings caused immediate shock, they were not the only betrayal Melinda discovered. Around the year 2000, a Microsoft employee alleged that Bill Gates had an affair with her. This revelation, hidden from the public for nearly 2 decades, left Melinda reeling. At the time, their children were toddlers, and the marriage had been 6 years old. The discovery of the secret affair was not just emotionally devastating. It represented a long history of hidden actions and dishonesty. Melinda realized that the foundation of her marriage had been undermined by repeated violations of trust. The incident remained a silent shadow over their life together until Microsoft's board conducted an investigation in 2019, prompted by a letter sent to Melinda detailing the affair. The investigation included interviews, document reviews, and external legal input. The findings were significant enough to force Bill Gates to resign from Microsoft's board in March 2020, a decision that carried both personal and professional weight. The investigation and its consequences highlighted the complexity of Bill and Melinda's marriage, revealing a pattern of secrecy and moral compromises that Melinda could no longer ignore. Between 2019 and 2021, Melinda experienced profound emotional and psychological struggles. She described these years as the darkest of her life, facing the collapse of a marriage she had invested decades into. Her panic attacks, nightmares, and emotional breakdowns were frequent and intense. She found herself lying on the floor in despair, questioning her ability to continue and rebuild her life. For someone who had spent years negotiating global initiatives, managing billions of dollars, and influencing world leaders, the personal pain she experienced was overwhelming. These emotional battles were compounded by her concern for her children, who were witnessing the disintegration of the family unit. Melinda's honesty in sharing these struggles resonates because it reflects a universal truth. No level of wealth or status can protect anyone from deep emotional pain. Her vulnerability, shared in interviews in her memoir, provides a rare window into the private challenges faced by those who live under the microscope of global attention. Divorcing Bill Gates was not a simple process. At the time of their separation, their combined net worth was estimated at $130 billion, making their divorce one of the largest in history. The financial division involved stocks, real estate, and the allocation of their philanthropic responsibilities. Bill transferred $2.4 billion in securities to Melinda on the day of the public announcement, including shares in companies like Canadian National Railway and Coca-Cola FEMSA. The couple's real estate holdings, including their famous 66,000-square-foot mansion near Seattle, had to be divided with precision beyond money and property. The status of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation became a central concern. Melinda initially attempted to maintain a co-chair position, hoping to continue the work they had started together. However, the arrangement proved unsustainable, and she ultimately chose to step away entirely, allowing the foundation to continue without her name attached. This legal and financial process underscored the magnitude of both their personal and professional lives and set the stage for Melinda to redefine her independent identity post-divorce. Melinda focused on redefining her identity beyond the shadow of her former marriage. She launched Pivotal Ventures, dedicating over $1 billion to initiatives supporting women and girls, with a focus on advancing equity and opportunity. For the first time, she was free to direct her resources toward causes she was passionate about, without compromise or oversight. Her work through Pivotal Ventures represents not just philanthropy, but a personal reclamation of autonomy, illustrating her ability to transform personal pain into meaningful action. She had become a symbol of resilience, demonstrating that even after deep betrayal and life-altering changes, it is possible to rebuild with purpose, intention, and vision. Her philanthropic work now reflects her values and priorities, and she continues to have a global impact, proving that personal empowerment and social influence can coexist, Beyond professional reinvention, Melinda's personal life also took a positive turn. In 2024, she publicly shared her relationship with Philip Vaughn, a tech entrepreneur and founder of a craft beer delivery company. This was her first public acknowledgement of romantic happiness since her divorce, signaling her readiness to embrace life fully once again. For Melinda, this new chapter represents freedom, authenticity, and joy, elements that were missing for decades. Her story emphasizes that it is never too late to rediscover happiness, and that personal fulfillment often requires courage to leave toxic or limiting situations behind. This renewed personal life aligns with her professional endeavors, creating a holistic approach to living authentically, leading courageously, and making a difference. Melinda Gates has cultivated a powerful network of allies and friends, including Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and Reese Witherspoon. These relationships are grounded in shared experiences of overcoming adversity, embracing leadership, and navigating complex personal and professional landscapes. This network has been vital for emotional support, mentorship, and collaborative work in philanthropy and advocacy. The friendships reflect Melinda's broader commitment to empowering women and building communities that foster resilience and growth. By surrounding herself with other accomplished women, she demonstrates the importance of solidarity and collaboration in achieving both personal and societal transformation. Her influence extends beyond philanthropy. It is a cultural force that inspires women worldwide to seek agency, confidence, and autonomy. The narrative of Melinda Gates' life post-divorce provides invaluable lessons in resilience. Despite betrayal, public scrutiny, and enormous personal challenges, she has emerged stronger, more autonomous, and more purposeful. Her journey illustrates the importance of self-advocacy, moral clarity, and courage in the face of adversity. By sharing her experiences publicly, she challenges the misconception that wealth shields one from personal struggles, highlighting the universality of emotional pain and recovery. Her resilience is not merely reactive but proactive, as she uses her experiences to fuel initiatives that address social inequities, support women, and drive systemic change. This proactive approach transforms personal hardship into social impact, redefining what it means to thrive after trauma. Melinda Gates' legacy is no longer tied exclusively to her former husband. Through pivotal ventures, her writing, and public advocacy, she has established herself as a global leader in philanthropy and women's empowerment. Her journey underscores the importance of independence, integrity, and authenticity. She has shown that even after immense betrayal and personal loss, it is possible to reclaim one's life and make a meaningful difference. Looking ahead, Melinda's focus remains on fostering opportunity, equity, and empowerment, leaving a lasting impact on society and redefining what it means to live a life of purpose. Her story is a testament to the human capacity for reinvention, courage, and transformation, offering hope and inspiration to millions who face their own personal and professional challenges. You might think money solves every problem. You might think that having one of the most powerful men in the world as your husband would guarantee a perfect life. But for Melinda Gates, the reality was far from perfect. Behind the glittering image of wealth, philanthropy, and influence, she faced secrets, betrayals, and life-shaking revelations that would change everything. Today, we're diving deep into the untold story of Melinda Gates, her struggles, her courage, and how she rebuilt her life after one of the most shocking divorces of our time. This is a story of resilience, empowerment, and transformation. Melinda Gates' life looked perfect on the outside. A massive estate, luxury cars, 3 children, and a husband admired as a tech genius. She had what many would call the dream life. But appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface, Melinda was struggling with panic attacks, anxiety, and sleepless nights. Even wealth couldn't shield her from the emotional toll of betrayal. She woke in cold sweats, nightmares running through her mind, and a sense of isolation that money couldn't fix. She had spent decades supporting her husband publicly and privately, investing in the foundation, and maintaining a carefully curated public image. Yet, in her private moments, she realized that appearances could not hide the deep cracks in her marriage. For Melinda, perfection was an illusion, and the truth was far more complicated than anyone could imagine. It all came to a head in late 2019. Melinda was scrolling through an article when she saw it. Bill Gates had met multiple times with Jeffrey Epstein, a man known for his crimes against young women. Melinda had met Epstein herself in 2013 and warned Bill to stay away. But despite her objections, he continued seeing him in secret. The betrayal hit hard. She had trusted Bill, believed in their partnership, and yet she discovered that her husband was ignoring her boundaries. The mix of shock, fear, and anger was overwhelming. It wasn't just a personal betrayal. It was a moral one. For Melinda, this was a wake-up call that the life she thought she knew was no longer real, and the path forward required courage, clarity, and action. The Epstein meetings were just beginning. Melinda soon learned an affair Bill had in the early 2000s. The affair had been hidden from the public for nearly 2 decades, during a time when her children were young and the marriage was still in its early years. Discovering this history was devastating. It revealed a pattern of secrecy and dishonesty, shaking the foundation of trust she had built her life upon. The situation became public during a Microsoft board investigation in 2019, leading to Bill resigning from the board in 2020. This wasn't just a private matter. It had professional consequences that rippled through the tech world and their philanthropic endeavors. Melinda faced a reality that rebuilding her life would mean confronting decades of hidden betrayal, a challenge she was both terrified and determined to tackle. Between 2019 and 2021, Melinda experienced some of the darkest moments of her life. Panic attacks, nightmares, and moments of despair became daily battles. She described lying on the floor, questioning how to move forward, and struggling to sleep peacefully. Despite her global influence and billions in wealth, she was deeply vulnerable. The emotional strain wasn't just about her own pain. It was also about protecting her children and navigating a life that had changed in an instant. For someone used to controlling and shaping global initiatives, the loss of control in her personal life was overwhelming. Melinda's openness about this period provides a rare glimpse into reality that wealth doesn't shield anyone from deep human suffering. Divorcing one of the richest men in the world wasn't simple. With a combined net worth of $130 billion, dividing assets required meticulous planning. Bill transferred $2.4 billion in securities to Melinda on the day of the announcement, including shares in Coca-Cola FEMSA and Canadian National Railway. Their massive real estate holdings, and global investments all needed careful distribution. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, a centerpiece of their shared life, also required decisions. Melinda initially hoped to remain co-chair, but ultimately stepped away to focus on her own projects. This process wasn't just about money. It was about redefining her role in the world and claiming independence after decades of shared identity. After the divorce, Melinda focused on her own identity and mission. Through pivotal ventures, she directed over $1 billion to initiatives supporting women and girls, focusing on equity and opportunity. For the first time, she could choose where to invest her energy without compromise. This work isn't just philanthropy. It's a personal reclamation of autonomy. By turning her pain into purpose, Melinda created a new chapter in her life, one that reflects her values, priorities, and vision. She became a symbol of resilience, showing that it's possible to rise stronger after betrayal, and that personal empowerment can coexist with meaningful social impact. In 2024, Melinda shared her relationship with Philip Vaughn, a tech entrepreneur, signaling a new chapter of joy and freedom. This was her first public acknowledgement of happiness since the divorce. For Melinda, love and companionship are now about authenticity, respect, and shared values. She demonstrates that it's never too late to embrace happiness, and that personal fulfillment often requires leaving behind situations that no longer serve your growth. This new chapter reinforces her holistic approach to life: professional purpose, personal autonomy, and emotional well-being. Melinda Gates' network of friends, including Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama, and Reese Witherspoon, has been vital in her journey. These relationships offer emotional support, mentorship, and collaboration in philanthropy. They also highlight the power of solidarity among women facing challenges in public and private life. Melinda's commitment to empowering women extends beyond her initiatives. It's reflected in the communities she builds, the alliances she nurtures, and the example she sets for others seeking independence and impact. Melinda's story is a masterclass in resilience. Despite betrayal, emotional turmoil, and public scrutiny, she has emerged stronger and more purposeful. Her journey teaches the importance of self-advocacy, moral clarity, and courage. By sharing her experiences, she dismantles the myth that wealth shields anyone from personal pain. Her proactive approach turns hardship into social impact, proving that adversity can become a catalyst for transformation and empowerment. Melinda Gates' legacy now